Hi, welcome to Let's Cook, where our title today is Three Soups. We are doing three soups, but we're also doing three classifications of soups. Because in a kitchen, in a commercial kitchen, you have different classifications. You have clear soups, you have thick soups, you have cream soups, you have velouté soups, you have chowders, you have bisque. So we're making the epitome of a clear soup today. We are making consommé in the first segment here. So to make the consommé, first thing we're going to do is we're just going to talk about some of the ingredients. Right here I have my mirepoix that I'm going to use. I'm going to use all of the leek, including the lower part here, the green. I'm going to use some onion, carrot, celery, red tomato, of course the tomato is red, egg whites, ground chicken meat, a little bit of thyme, whole black pepper, parsley stems, and bay leaves. And we use this to clarify our chicken stock. So we never listed chicken stock there, but you do need chicken stock. Now, what I'm going to do right now is I'm simply going to take my mirepoix, that is my carrots, and these are just roughly chopped, my carrots, my leeks, my onions, my celery, my very lean ground chicken meat right here. Oh, here's my spoon right here. Very lean ground chicken meat right here. My whole black pepper, which I've cracked. Thyme, parsley stems, because in a commercial kitchen we usually have them. So we use the parsley stems too. And all we're going to do is mix this up. When I mix this, oh, I forgot, I need my tomato. So I have my tomato right here, and the tomato just gives it a nice acid balance. So we're just going to take our tomato and just dice it up. So we just take our knife, we go across here. You'll notice when I cut this, I don't go all the way through. This way my tomato stays together, and I'm able to dice a whole tomato. Then we just take it, and we cut it down this way. See how nice this is? Beautiful. Good. So now I have my tomato here. So we take this, add this to what we call our clear meat. And we mix this together really well. The only thing I don't have in here also is, you'll notice, is the egg whites. Now the egg whites kind of bring it all together. What we're going to do with our egg whites is we're going to take our egg whites, put them into our copper bowl right here. Then we're going to take a whip or whisk, and we're going to lightly whip these just till they start to take on a little bit of air. The volume that they're going to increase by will also help to clarify our consommé. So, or our stock to make it into consommé. Add our egg white to this too. Beautiful. We mix this together well. Now what I have on the stove right here is I have some chicken stock here that I'm just starting to heat up now. And what I'm going to do, and this is a quick method that I'm going to use, is I'm going to take this clear meat and clarify my stock quickly. The best way to do it is start with this cold, put them together, and gently stir it till it gets warm to the touch, then give it a good stir. Let that clear meat rise to the top. That's my vegetables, my meat, and my egg whites, and clarify my stock to make it consommé. Right now, I'm just going to add this into this. Okay, beautiful. Get that all in there. Then all we're going to do is make sure this is well mixed in here. Now notice the egg whites are already starting to rise to the top here, because this will clarify relatively quickly, but then we have to allow it to simmer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stand here right now. I'm going to stir this till it barely starts to simmer. We're going to take a little break, and then when we come back, I'll show you how you finish this consommé with some delicious sautéed mushrooms. Plus, we have two other soups we're making today on Let's Cook, where it is called Three Soups. We'll be right back. Doesn't this consommé look terrific? Welcome back to Let's Cook. Now, as this simmers, you'll notice I'm going to keep taking whatever is coming up here at this gentle simmer, and I keep basting what we call the clear meat, which has now formed the raft. The reason it's called the raft is that it rises to the top like a raft or floats on top of the consommé. Now, you have to let this simmer for a little while to really, but you see the clarity there? You see how I just let that stop? The clarity of the consommé in the spoon there? This consommé is now done. In a perfect world, I would wait probably about 10 or 15 minutes now for this just to relax. But if we go and we look at it right now, because I shut it off, you see how nice and relaxed it is? And look, when I cut into it, how nice and clear this is underneath. Beautiful, rich, very flavorful consommé. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're just going to take this now and strain this through cheesecloth. Look at the clarity of the broth that's coming through here. Now, you cannot allow the clarity of this to distort what you're going to taste. because what you're going to taste in here, it has a flavor of the bones from the chicken stock. It has flavor of the vegetables. It has a flavor of the seasonings. And you have this beautiful, wonderful, clear liquid. Now, with this consommé, the only analogy I can give you is if you've ever had a shot of hard liquor or straight liquor and even smelt it, as soon as you have it, and kids out there, if you're under 21, don't try it, but if you've ever had it and you taste it and you get a little tickle or you taste it right away, doesn't have to go through a lot of digestion. Why? Because it's almost absorbed directly through the stomach. There's no you don't have to break this down at all. It's all broken down for you. It's also great for colds. So I have some, look at, the clarity of this, and you'll be able to see it even better once I put it over. Now I have just some mushrooms here that I gently sauteed in just a little bit of butter, and I just set them up in the middle of the plate here because we want the flavor of the mushrooms to pick up the flavor of the stock, and we also don't want them raw. So we just put a little bit of consommé in there, and just finish this with a little bit of chive. Beautiful. Chicken consommé with some chives and sauteed mushrooms. I also like tortellini in this too, one of my favorites. You know, soups are a great thing. They're great for a starter. They're great for a meal. They're great to prevent colds. You know, there's natural inhibitors in here as far as viruses are concerned in our body. That's why chicken soup is so good for us. Chicken consommé is twice as good for us. We need to take a little break, and then when we come back, I have 2 more soups we're going to make today on Let's Cook. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Let's Cook, where we are definitely doing soups today. Now, in my pan here, I'm just going to turn this down for a second. I have some sausage that I left whole here that I'm just browning because this is what is going to flavor my pea soup. So once we have your sausage browned here, put a little bit of onion into this. Let that start to cook just a little bit, and this can all go in at the same time. We add some carrots into this. I'm using yellow peas. My yellow peas go into this. I'm going to add a couple of bay leaves into this and water or stock. All we do is we now cover this. We allow this to simmer for about an hour and 20 minutes to an hour and a half. Everything is going to be tender. It's going to be absolutely beautiful. Now I have some right here that I've already cooked, so you can see the difference here where this is already cooked. To finish this soup now, it's so easy, and you can see how easy the ingredients, how simple the ingredients are there. The only thing you haven't seen is how I'm going to use the pimento or sun-dried tomato. You can use either one. What I'm going to do now is I'm simply going to remove my sausage, put this over here because I'm going to dice this and return this to the soup. Then I'm going to puree the soup. Now, there's a couple of options you have here. One thing that you could do is if you wanted, you could leave it just like this, and this would be a really thick, robust, great winter soup, but you can also puree this. When you puree this, and I'm going to puree all of it, just going to take and, let's see here, let me get my ladle right here. Because you have to be careful when you puree this, and this is why these blenders are so good. We'll just take a little bit of this, and we'll never fill our blender more than halfway full. And this is a puree soup. Now, the classification, when we're talking about classifications, we did the clear soup. A puree soup, the thickening agent or the binding agent is actually a puree of the vegetable. You could do this with mushrooms. You could do this with broccoli. Doesn't have a thickening agent. Doesn't have any heavy cream in it. That's a puree soup. Now, I'm just going to put this on. I'm just going to puree this now. Very fine. Get this as smooth as possible. It's also incorporating a little bit of air. We shut this off now. I'm going to take this, and let's get a shot on this because I'm going to leave some of the peas whole in this too because I like that texture. I'm just going to take this, add this back to it, except for maybe about a half a cup. I'm leaving a half of a cup in the blender here. This is now good to go here. Oh, doesn't this look great? And I love the carrots in there too. I love the colors in there. Now, with the remaining soup here, I have a little bit of pimento right here. So, you know, did anybody see me like stumble there a little bit? I have a mat back here, but I went off the mat here, so that's why I stumbled. I don't want anybody to think that we're drinking on the job here. So we're going to put this on. I'm going to puree this and give it a little bit more color because I want 2 colors in my soup today. See how this is pureeing, and it's going to pick up the flavor of that roasted pepper, that pimento, which is going to be absolutely terrific. Okay, this is now done. Going to keep this on the side. Now I'm going to show you the presentation on this soup. Just take this right into the bowl here. And you're going to have two different colors. Plus, with any, has a flavor of the sausage in here too. With the flavor of the sausage and the vegetables and the seasonings. And by the way, if you were paying attention, you'll notice I did not remove the bay leaf. That's because I had removed the bay leaf before we started. So now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to take my sausage. And again, we're going to build some different flavors here. We're just going to cut our sausage down this way on a little bit of a bias. And when I have this soup, I don't like the little bits of sausage. I like big pieces of sausage. So just as a garnish here, I'm just going to take a little bit of my sausage here. And you'll notice that my soup is hot enough where it can float on there. Then we take our croutons, put a little bit of crouton right here in the middle. And this is, again, my croutons are made with white bread that are made without any fat whatsoever. All they have is flour, yeast, water, and salt. Now we have our garnish here. Now this is more of the pea soup, but you'll notice here now what we're going to do with this. We're simply going to take this and add this right here, just across the soup here, so we have a little bit of a different color there. Then, if you really want to tweak this a little bit, you can use a knife, or you could go ahead and use a skewer like this, bamboo skewer, knife, either one. And you can just kind of pull this across this way and get a little bit of a design going in your soup. See, because you have that beautiful consistency there. Oh, it's delicious. The only thing this needs a little bit of green in there. So we'll just take any green, either scallion or chive if you wanted. And we'll just cut this on a little bit of a bias too. Nothing like the flavor of a green onion, spring onion, scallion, or chive. That fresh onion flavor. We'll just sprinkle that a little bit around there too. Delicious puree of yellow pea soup with sausage and croutons. Soups are great today on Let's Cook, aren't they? I think we need to take another little break. And then when we come back, we're going to make another almost puree soup, but this time it's going to be a cream soup, and I'll show you the difference. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Hi, welcome back to Let's Cook. Now, we made a clear soup. We made a puree soup. Now it's time for a cream soup. So we're just going to do a very simple cream of mushroom soup. I'll explain the difference between a cream soup and a puree soup. A cream soup contains cream, may contain roux, and should be strained to get rid of those solids, because those solids can impede or can prevent you from tasting the essence, the fumet, the everything about the soup. So, I have some mushrooms here. Do you wash mushrooms? Yes, you wash mushrooms. The only thing you're going to do is, if you want, you can brush them off, or you can use a wet towel. I wash them. I put them in water, immediately remove them. They're like a sponge. And these are almost like a vegetable protein. I mean, and they have a complex food, what am I trying to say? Complex food compounds. Complex, yeah, food compounds that are just very healthy for you. So I have these mushrooms here that I just quickly washed. See, I got dirt in them. Got rid of the dirt. You need to make sure you get rid of that dirt. Then we're just going to pad them dry, and they'll absorb under 5% of their weight with water. So, which means that if you're not going to get that much weight gain, or they're not going to absorb that much water if you go ahead and wash them, as long as you pat them dry right away. So we're just going to take our mushrooms right now, and I'm just going to slice these mushrooms up nice and thin here. I'm using a combination here of shiitake and regular common mushrooms, also known as champignons du Paris, because Paris was the first city to actually cultivate mushrooms. So we're just going to cut these up nice and small. You want to make them all just uniform there. And you just want them to kind of fly off your knife there. That's enough mushrooms for me for right now. So now I'm going to take my pan right here. I'm going to add some butter to my pan. Along with that butter, I'm going to add my mushrooms right into it. Get them right in there. If the butter browns up a little bit, that won't bother me. Now I'm going to cook these to a point where the mushrooms do not start to release any moisture. Just cook these down a little bit. Now I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons here of flour. There's 1, 2, 3 tablespoons of flour. This is my thickening agent. This is my roux. If I have any white left in the pan, like I have right here, just add a little bit more butter to this. Now to cook this, you're going to allow this to cook for roughly about a half an hour. That'll cook off the flour flavor, and it will also cook the mushrooms till they're nice and tender. Now I'm going to add my stock to this. Just enough to cover the mushrooms. And normally when I make a soup, it's a 3-to-1 ratio, so I'll have 3 times as much liquid by volume as I have stock. 3 times as much liquid by volume as I have solids here. Now we bring this up to simmer. This is where we're going to stay and stir this till it comes up to simmer. That way it's not going to burn or stick on the bottom. Once it's at a simmer, right here, you have bay leaf and thyme. You need both in mushroom soup. Thyme just goes well with mushrooms. I'm going to add my thyme. I'm going to add my bay leaves. I'm also going to add, at this point in time, a little bit of salt, a little bit more salt, and some pepper. Let these flavors start to simmer and come together. Now this would take normally, as I said, about a half an hour. I already have some soup that is done right here, and you can see how it's cooked down, how my mushrooms have shrunk, and the great color that I have. And you can also see how simple the ingredients are. Now if you want to make this, let's say you need to be on a gluten-free diet, make it without the flour, add more mushrooms, and don't strain it the way I'm going to. If you need to be on a low-fat diet, instead of using flour and butter, use a cornstarch slurry or an arrowroot slurry and thicken that up. So there's always options there. Now we're just going to take this soup right here. I'm going to put it into my blender here, put the top on here, and we're going to puree this. While that purees, I'm going to take this pan right here, and I'm going to add a little heavy cream to this. We're going to bring that heavy cream up in temperature. We need to do that. Right here, I have this pan right here with a strainer. Let's take a look at our soup here for a second. Let's shut this off for a second. Okay, good. Now, you'll notice here, see my consistency here? I'll just show you this on the camera. See my consistency right here? It's still too solid. The solids are still too big, so I'm going to put this back on here. I have a little bit of consomme here. I'm just going to thin this down just a smidgen here. Add this back on and puree it so that it's really smooth. Okay, let's do this again. Let's stay on. Stay on. You know, sometimes this machine stays on for me, and sometimes it doesn't. I don't know what I do right to it. I guess I just have to keep pressing those buttons. But my cream is now at a boil. Here's what we're going to do. Make a puree soup. We don't strain it. To make a cream soup, we take these solids here and we strain them through. Now what's going to end up happening is as I push this through the sieve here, I'm just going to get the essence of the mushroom. And we keep forcing this through and forcing this through until we just end up with the essence. However, every once in a while, we might pick a straining tool that's a little too fine to allow the mushrooms through. So we have to change this. So see here? See how it's coming through now? I'm going to lose a lot less of my mushroom this way, and I'm going to be able to pour this through. Here's what happens when I only have 50 seconds left. I take my pureed soup right here. I add it to my pot here. Add my hot cream to this here. We simply mix this together quickly. We add it right to the bowl right here. And we have a delicious cream of mushroom soup that you have the option of straining or not straining. So today on Let's Cook, we did our mushroom soup. In addition to that, we did our delicious consomme here with the mushrooms and the chives, and of course our puree of yellow pea soup with the sausage, croutons, and a little bit of pimento. Bye-bye for now.